My name is Craig Lovold, and I own a 1988 Vixen XC. It's definitely different. It's hard to say what it is, because they made the first ones were definitely an RV, but this one is a little bit different because it was outfitted more like a limo, so it's somewhere in between an RV and a limo. Well, they were made in Pontiac, Michigan. It's an American vehicle, but it has a BMW turbo diesel for the engine and a Renault 5-speed manual transaxle. So it was kind of a hodgepodge of parts that they pulled it together. The whole thing was kind of pieced together, but then it was a custom fiberglass shell that they put over that and wind tunnel tested it. It's actually slightly more aerodynamic than a C5 Corvette, according to the wind tunnel testing, and gets 30 miles to the gallon on the highway at 55 miles an hour. So it was kind of a really different vehicle and fits in a normal garage. It's just under 7 feet tall. It's lightweight, 6,000 pounds. It was really different than most of the RVs of the day. Airplane-like door. And inside, it's been restored pretty much the way it was when it was originally built. It's got a tiny little bathroom here, just big enough to fit a toilet with a little privacy extension there so you have enough room, but very compact, keeping the whole inside very open. And then this is as it was originally with the little wet bar. These seats fold together in front here to form another bed. There was a little black and white TV originally in there, but of course we added a modern stereo and a flip down TV for movie nights, and then upgraded the electronics, but otherwise this is much as it would have been back in 1988. There's a permanent bed in back over the engine, and then the seat here can flip down to fit a larger bed and make things fall down. And then we added this air conditioning unit on the wall just for our own comfort. But the overhead lights and all of this is the way that it originally was from the factory. So they had reading lights because it was intended for executives to sit here in comfort and travel and sip their champagne or whatever. But yeah, otherwise it's pretty much as it was intended. Because this was an XC, it wasn't intended for camping necessarily, and so it had a secondary air conditioning unit in the back for the interior, but that only ran with the engine. So when you're parked, there wasn't any heat or air conditioning. So we added that just to make it more comfortable for camping. Actually, it's a standard household type mini split air conditioner with the outside part on the bumper and then the inside part mounted in place of one of the lights that were there. I grew up hearing my mom talk about the little BMW Isetta that she had before I was born. And so I'd always kind of kept an eye out for one and thought it would be fun if I could ever find one. Every morning I had a little routine that ran, kept me up to date if any of them popped up. And one morning it popped up on Craigslist north of the Twin Cities. It said, don't call before 8. So at 7:45, I called them and I was on the road with a trailer on the way there. This had been sitting in a shed for 40 years. That was a pretty good find. So it's a German car, and they were very popular in Europe, and it was kind of known as the car that saved BMW. After World War II, in Germany had a very depressed economy and people could not afford to buy a car. So BMW came up with this vehicle as an inexpensive car that people could afford to buy. And then they also imported a few thousand of them to the United States, but they weren't as popular here. The car was actually designed by an Italian company called ISO, and they made refrigerators amongst other things, and that's why the front looks a lot like a 1950s refrigerator door. The steering column is hinged and connected to the door, so it kind of swings away as you open it to give you a little more room to get in. That's how you get in and out of it, is you climb in through there, and if you ever get stuck in the door, it's got a nice sunroof you can climb out of, so it's just got the one door. It's a 300cc one-cylinder engine. The same basic engine that they were using in BMW motorcycles of the day. And it does have a hemispherical combustion chamber. Technically, it is a Hemi. The shift is actually on the left-hand side, and the gear pattern is backwards. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're using your left hand and you're shifting in a backwards pattern. So it does take a little while to get used to. You're not going to race anybody, but it gets around. I've had it up to 50. It can get there. It just takes a while. The promotional pictures showed a family with like 2 adults and a small child, and I always thought those must be really tiny people, because you can get 2 people in there, but they got to be kind of friendly. It's been a hoot. I actually have another one too that I'm doing a full restoration on. I'm going to keep this one as is, because it's kind of earned its dents and dings and stuff. And the other one was too far gone, so that one will be a complete restoration. So hopefully have a fleet of 2 after a while.